Welcome to another episode of the Back Catalogue podcast. This is the podcast where we, and by we I mean me, Apple, and my co-host / co-founder, Vincent, we dive into the streaming services. We tell you, the listener and the viewer, what is worth it and what is not. And listen, guys, look, I got a confession to make. Like, it is Crocvember. That's the confession, that it is Crocvember. It's November, and every day of November we are doing crocodile films. Now, I've said this, you go back to the last podcast, you go back to the podcast before.
We've watched 19 crocodile films. Every day we watch a crocodile film. We ran out, so that's why I had to watch an alligator film, is the issue here. Not because I heard the word of the name of the film, and that's just the only thing I heard in my head. I did not even consider any other films being in the scope of what we were doing for this episode.
So this week we were meant to do Lake Placid. Lake Placid's very own, right? It's an OG crocodile film. You know, many would say that's probably the first crocodile film they ever watched. You know, Lake Placid is a classic in the crocodile game. It's a crocodile classic. CC. Now, I'm telling Vincent in the last episode we can't do Kroll because I've realised it's based in Florida. There's gators out the wazoo in that movie. Then there's literally gators out the wazoo in that movie. Vincent hears me say the word Kroll and subsequently watches Kroll. Now, last night, you know, we're on the phone because we speak on the phone, and Vincent tells me, yeah, we're doing Kroll tomorrow. And I said, brother, we're doing Lake Placid tomorrow. But at the end of the day, neither of us had watched Lake Placid, but one of us had watched Kroll at that point. So we are now doing. Look, we're going against the script, and that's what we'll do.
We're doing Alavember, just for today. Just for today.
We're doing Alavember, and sometimes you got to shock the body. Sometimes you have to shock the body. And today we are doing 2019's very own Kroll. I'm going to give you some facts, then we're going to get into it, okay? And like what we should have been doing is, instead of giving the IMDb's and the Rotten Tomatoes, we should be giving crocodile facts. And maybe that's next week.
Well, we can't give crocodile facts this week.
That's right, because we're doing alligators only here. It's got the 6.1 out of 10 on the IMDb. It's got the 84% on the Rotten Tomatoes, Vincent.
Hold on, what has it got on IMDb?
It's got 6.1 out of 10.
Okay.
Now, this had a budget of $13 to $15 million, and it made $91.54 million US dollars. I'm going to give you a synopsis. We'll jump right into it, Vincent. We'll just jump right into it. Florida residents Haley and her father get trapped during a massive hurricane and struggle to escape. But things get worse when they realize that the flood water is the least of their fears. And we're here.
They don't struggle to escape and then there's crocodiles. They just struggle to escape because there's crocodiles.
I mean, there ain't no crocodiles. You know, this is a movie where we're watching it, right? I've told Vincent, this is crocodiles only. The movie starts off, right? We're in Florida. And in the background, we're at the Florida Gators. Like, this is where we're in university. It's the Florida Gators college team. It says Florida Gators. Now, at that point, you know, you see gators in the background. You're thinking that's a mascot. Not a real gator necessarily. About 2 minutes after that, maybe 3 to 4 or 5 minutes after that,
see, I know
we're driving down the road.
I know that Florida is
farm.
home to alligators. I know that. And I was watching that and I was going, why did Apo, I thought we weren't doing alligators. But I mean, he said Krog, so I'm here. You know?
I'm glad that you realised that, like, you know, you seen the gators, you realised it was...
I realised I was questioning it, but I don't know. I guess I just assumed that this is what we were doing.
I mean, and you know what?
I was already like a minute and a half in. I was invested.
And you can't get out.
You can't get out.
You know, this is a movie where you can't get out, not only the characters, but the people watching at home. You can't get out of this movie when you start. It's only an hour and a half, an hour and 34 minutes, something like that. You know, and...
it also starts well, I think.
You know, it starts well because it builds on both of our fears.
Swimming.
Well, I like swimming, but I don't like competitively swimming because I ain't good at it. But I'll swim in a pool. I'll swim in a pool, no doubt.
Fearful of that?
I'm fearful of the competition.
Really?
Remember that time where, you know, we had a swimming carnival at school and no one wanted to do backstroke?
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, Apo, you do backstroke because at least, like, if people laugh at you, like, that's your MO. Like, people laughing at you is your MO.
Because you look like a comedian.
And especially when I'm doing backstroke.
Yeah.
You know? It was one of the worst things ever because how long is a backstroke for a 100-meter pool going to take you?
Well, it's not 100. It was a 50-meter pool.
How long is a backstroke for a 50-meter pool should take you? I don't know. I don't know really.
I'm not a good person to judge that.
I might have been in there.
I barely completed that 50 meters because they laughed at you, but they were just like worried about me. I got in the pool. They go, oh yeah, he's doing it. I mean, I hope he doesn't because I hope someone knows CPR here. I hope someone knows CPR.
Because you didn't have your glasses on, you didn't have Nathan. You didn't even have the skills to swim.
Dude, they put me in there with no tools.
They put you in there with no tools.
At least if I had a spanner or something, I could have grabbed onto a lane and
I mean, that's the if you don't know how to swim, that's the GOAT thing that you got to do. You just got to grab onto the lane rope and hope. You know, that's the strategy.
A lane rope gives you hope.
Lane rope gives you hope. Now, in this movie, Hayley doesn't need that lane rope because she's a competitive swimmer. She just misses out in this trial sort of swim that they're doing in the team, the practice swim. She just it's by 1/100th of a second, right? But she is a competitive swimmer, and throughout this whole movie, she is dealing with the fact that she might not think she's good enough, she might not think she's ready, but she's got the skills to do it because she's beaten gators in this movie. Like she's swimming against gators in floodwaters. Floodwaters be moving like crazy. She's beating gators in the movie, and that's suspense. And also, like, what's your hero going to do other than defeat gators in this movie? So essentially, the story is hurricanes coming to Florida, and people say Australia's scariest place in the world. You guys got animals.
100% incorrect.
You guys got
incorrect.
You guys got animals and natural disasters. People are like, it's a hurricane.
You've got so many spiders you can kill. The spiders are this big, bro. Even if you go to the outback, they're big spiders, but
like spider ain't going to come up to you unless you like.
There's big spiders, but you got a bigger foot.
Oh, 100%. And like
you can't squish a bear with your foot.
Can't squish a gator with your foot.
You can't squish a hurricane with your foot.
These people live in a space.
We got a hole in the ozone layer. I'll put my foot up there. That's shade.
That's exactly right. And I mean, we go out, we get burnt, we come back in. Yeah. And that's probably the extent of the lack of safety in Australia.
Yeah, and you should definitely slip slap because 1 in 3 Australians over 55 get skin cancer.
Yeah. And
I don't know if that's the exact statistic. I mean, it's roughly. Bad.
We should only throw statistics out that we know 100%.
And I 100% know that's not probably true.
Okay, so we'll leave that at the door.
It also could be true.
Because we leave things at the door here. And that's our new thing. We leave things at the door. And like that statistic, we might need to leave that at the door. But essentially what it is like there's nothing healthy about a tan. Unless, of course, like, culturally, like, your skin is darker than other people's skin, then that's just healthy for your culture.
Well, that's not a tan.
No, it's not a tan.
No,
absolutely. But I'm tanning more than others, and my skin good. I went to skin doctor. He said, brother, you don't have to come here for 5 more years. You stay out of here for 5 years, brother. Your skin looks good. And I was like, but I'm tanned all the time. He's like, that's just your culture. That's just your culture. And I said, listen, man, look, Doc, I got a movie about alligators to review. So let's get into it. Now, Hayley, she's looking for her dad. Miss Cole's out the wazoo. Her dad ain't picking up.
It's an evacuation zone where they're at.
That's right. There's a whole bunch of exposition, like, hey, look, dad left mum, but like, you still got to look out for him. But dad hasn't spoken to me for like 25 days. But look, it's your dad, you still got to look after him, right? So Hayley goes to look after her dad, finds out that her dad's in a crawl space at their old house. Gators in the crawl space.
Man's got a broken leg.
He's got a broken leg from gators.
From gators.
Yeah. From gators, man. And one thing that I respected about this movie is from the jump, they're like, listen, I don't care if you're a main character. I don't care if you're a side character. I don't care if you're in the movie for 5 minutes, in the movie for an hour and 35 minutes. You're getting bitten by a gator.
Yeah.
People, everyone's getting attacked. You might lose an arm.
It was Oprah all over again. There was on every chair there was a gator bite. They were just throwing them out.
Because there's a couple scenes in which Hayley herself, especially early, like one of the first scenes in which she encounters a gator, she gets bitten on the leg, starts getting dragged away, twisted around, all sorts of things. And this is prior to the water filling up in the crawl space. So you're thinking, if they're doing this prior to the water, what's going to happen when the water comes in? Jeez. At another point, she gets bitten on the shoulder. Looks like the gator's about to take her head off.
She does the flips. The gator does the flips in the water.
Yeah, she does them death rolls.
Death rolls.
Death rolls.
That's wild.
And that's evolution. And that's how you survive all these years, right? I mean, they haven't even need to evolve. They're just like, brother, we do things our way. And it works, so we're sticking.
If it ain't broke.
But you know what's wild to me? You got crocodiles and then you got gators.
Yeah.
And you got salt water and you got fresh water. Like, there's all these different things, but they're doing essentially the same thing. Like, they'll grab you and they'll twist you around.
Yeah,
and that's it for you.
I mean, it's different strokes.
It is different strokes. Now, I want to hear what your thoughts were on this movie. Now, this movie is very reminiscent of a lot of those, we're in one space. I wouldn't necessarily say it's claustrophobic, but it is a space that can't be escaped, and there is a threat within the space.
I mean, it's pretty claustrophobic.
It's sort of, akin to the movies like The Descent. We're in the caves, there's monsters in the caves.
Yeah, we keep going down, and it just keeps going down. There's more stairs.
We're descending. And it might be into madness. You've got the movie The Thing, you're at the research facility, snow outside, aliens inside. You got Alien. We got space outside, we got aliens inside. Right? All these movies, they show you that, listen, the danger is exacerbated because we can't move. There's no space for us to move here, and that is what Kroll gives us.
Because they got hurricane outside, they got gators inside. But also they've got gators outside, and they got water outside, but then they've also got water inside.
100%. And the gators outside, we're going to get into it, but I want to hear what you thought, what your feelings were coming into this movie, because this is 100% a horror film. This is a Sam Raimi produced joint. This is Alejandro. I think it's Alexander. Maybe it's Alejandro. I don't know his last name.
Leave that at the door.
But we'll leave that at the door. But, he's a man that's done The Hills Have Eyes. He's a man that's done a bunch of he's done Piranha. He's done a bunch of horror movies, and this is one of those. So what are your thoughts on this movie in regards to not only its horror, but your enjoyment?
You asked me for my thoughts about 3.5 minutes ago, so I've had a lot of time to collect them now. Yeah, I was ready to jump in at any point there. You just kept talking. So pretty much any movie, especially ones that involve horror movies that involve animals of some sort, I'm just thinking, this is going to be like Sharknado. Because effectively this was like Alligator-nado.
Yeah,
Alligator Cane.
This is Alligator Cane.
Yeah. Anyway, I go into this thinking this is going to be it's a whatever movie. Because I'm not a horror movie man. I don't think a lot of horror movies are particularly good. This was a good movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this movie because this one was, you had the jump scares. And I feel like not enough horror movies do that I've watched.
Yeah, because you ain't watched horror movies. That's why. Because too many horror movies do that.
Yeah, so I think it's good for me when I see that, because all the ones that we've recently watched, the only one was the last movie when we were in Burundi. We're trying to save the world in Burundi.
Yes.
There was one jump scare.
The initial jump scare where the lady's doing...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that got me. But this one, there was a few. But there were good ones because they weren't as expected as I would expect, I guess.
Well, you know what? And you didn't expect them. And tell me more about what the ones that you didn't expect were. Because you only watched this movie. Okay.
I can't remember.
One of my issues with this was, as a horror film, you don't sometimes, especially if you've got an hour and 35 minutes, you don't need to. You got to get to the crocodile or the alligators killing individuals. That's what you got to get to. That's what people came through to. When you're buying, you're purchasing your ticket, you see Bridget Jones's Diary, you see Kroll. You're thinking, do I want heartfelt, heartwarming film about someone who's on the up and up, or do I want to see people die by alligator? You put your tickets down, you put your money down based on that, right? So you're going into...
Yeah, but not necessarily you want to see someone die.
No, but you want to see...
Well, I mean, maybe that's what you do, but I don't want to... I'm not going in there being like, someone better die in the first 15 minutes, or I'm going straight to Bridget Jones.
But what you want to do is you want to go in there for like alligator mayhem, right? And if it's alligator mayhem, unfortunately, some man's going to die. One man might get pulled apart literally in 6 different pieces and 6 different ways. One of the issues with this movie initially is that although, it's alligator mayhem and we do get into that, I just they didn't build up these characters enough for me to even care about them at any point, right? So we get Haley, we get the dad, we get Haley and Haley's sister. Those really are the main characters of this film.
Haley's sister's in there for
exposition, right? And this exposition at the very start, it just shows Haley, and she's a jaded person for many reasons, and that's okay. That's not the issue that I have. But there was nothing about Haley or the dad that I necessarily connected with or liked. So when they're in the crawl space, I'm thinking like, eventually they're going to get out the crawl space, and to be honest with you, if they didn't, I'd be okay with that. So I didn't necessarily like the people in this movie, which drives a movie for me. You got to be connected to the people. But what I did like was the alligator mayhem, and especially the alligator mayhem which occurred outside of the crawl space. because there was mayhem out the wazoo.
There was a lot of alligator action in this movie.
There was.
I would agree with you that the characters weren't anything that I was going, oh man, I hope they survive. But I almost, for me, they just don't have to be assholes. In the last movie, I actively disliked all the characters. In this one, they're just regular. They just feel like they're just the everyday head.
You were neutral to the people.
But I was going, yeah, whatever. So the intensity when there was, alligator mayhem, when our boy Wade was getting ripped into, like his leg went that way, his arm went that way. Haley's trying to grab his arm.
He was in the Ultra Tune. He was in the Ultra Tune ad.
He was in the Ultra Tune ad. Haley grabbed his arm and she's like looking around. She's going, where the rest of them at?
This has got to connect somewhere. This has got to connect somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. Because like the leg bone's connected to the hip bone, and then
there's a scene in which obviously they're in the crawl space, they can't get out, Haley and her dad. There's a convenience store. And conveniently, there's flooding, so you could do looting. And it's across the road, essentially. But across a whole lot of... And there's these three people who go in there and they're like, look, we're going to steal ATM. We're going to steal a bunch of stuff. While that's all going on, alligators obviously in the area. Alligators take out these individuals at that space one by one. And the first instance in which an alligator takes out, because... One of the thieves sees Haley flashing a light, so he's thinking, "Hey, there's somebody in this room."
And there was somebody in that room.
And instead of getting in your boat, which you have, and driving across and be like, "Hey, is there somebody in this room?"
Which realistically, if you're doing looting things, would you stop? I don't know. I mean, I guess you're thinking, "Oh, there's a head there. Maybe they can help us with this ATM."
Maybe they have ATM skills so they can actually open it for us.
Yeah, that's right. Because you could just have an ATM in the house. You'd be like, yeah, bro, I got an ATM in the house. Got like 5.4 mil in there. Yeah, can I have some of that? No, we can't open it.
We just don't know how.
We
haven't got the skills or the facilities for it.
Yeah.
So he starts wading in the water towards the house instead of getting in the boat. But that's neither here nor there. But in the background, the person that's on the boat just gets taken in by an alligator.
Yeah.
And it happened in a way that it wasn't the forefront of what we were looking at necessarily, but it was enough of mayhem to make you look to the back and be like, oh man, this is wild.
Yeah.
This is wild. They all get taken out one by one in very vicious and wild ways, which I thought that was fantastic.
That was a good scene.
That was a good scene. You tell them about the next alligator mayhem moment, because the next alligator mayhem moment said, you thought that was mayhem. Wait till you see this.
Which one was the next alligator mayhem?
That police officer that just got, his bones were connected to other bones in the alligator's body.
So then, because Haley went to find her dad in a place where they were evacuating, they had the authority figures saying, hey, you can't go there.
That's right.
Haley goes, I got an all-terrain vehicle, like it's all-terrain dummy, I'm going all-terrain. So she goes to the dad. So this guy that she knew from, her hometown or whatever, dated her sister. That's just expository things. He has a reason to come save them in the end, potentially. Right. So he went there with another guy on a boat. They stop at the house. He's going, hey, where you at? And I mean, I don't know. It sounded like you could hear banging on the floorboards, but I mean, it's raining. There's gators. There's all sorts of things going on. Maybe you can't hear. This man's, walking around. He goes to the kind of entrance of the crawl space. He's there looking down. Haley's saying, no, don't come in here. Then he looks some other way, and then you just see the jaws of the crocodile come up from the crawl space and just take him into it.
We got gators here.
And we had gators in the house.
Yeah, there was gators.
And we knew that, but Wade didn't know that.
Wade didn't know that. And I wasn't expecting Wade to go out that quick.
I mean, they were wading in the water, and then there was Wade in the water.
And Wade was over here and he was over there at some point. He got absolutely torn to shreds by that crocodile. And then his partner, I think that was previous to that, his partner also gets torn to shreds. When his partner gets torn to shreds, so they have their boat. The boat gets some seaweed or some coal or something, and it's neither of those things, but it gets caught up in something. So he has to get off.
It looked like seaweed, but you're thinking, it's a flood. It's like grass.
It's likely grass or like tree particles,
Yeah.
He gets out the boat.
I'm not looking at that too carefully, so.
That's right. He gets out the boat. He gets torn to shreds by 6-7 different alligators, which was wild, and I was not expecting them to go out so quick. But you see a police officer in a...
he wasn't even a police officer. He was just...
They had the police boat.
Did they?
They're the police officers. You know, they're the authority figures that said, "Hey, don't go this way, go that way."
Oh, I didn't know they were police officers. I thought they were just,
You thought they were just friendly folk.
I thought they were just, hey, we're doing volunteer work. We're government officials of some stature.
Yeah, because it's a conspiracy, and maybe they created the hurricane, and maybe the government.
Because you run
controls
around
the
in
weather.
circles fast enough.
And really, like, who isn't running around in circles in this day and age?
It's all cyclical.
Eat, sleep, rave, repeat. You know, we're all doing it. So people get torn to shreds, and that is the extent of all the alligator mayhem and the well, not necessarily the alligator mayhem, but
they're the wildest ones.
They are the wildest.
The rest
ones.
of them, Haley gets her leg bit, then she gets her
upper shoulder. Yeah, I mean
upper shoulder bit. Which I think that's the only thing that one thing part of this movie that you have to kind of put to the side is you got to leave it at the door.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff in here that you go, in that situation, you're dead.
Haley dead 3 to 5 times in this movie.
Her dad dead. I mean, her dad almost died in every situation he was in. He had a broken leg.
Yeah.
Somehow put, as in like clean break.
Like
his
bone
leg is in 2 parts.
Yeah, the bone is out of the skin.
And I'm aware of human physiology, human anatomy to an extent. I know there's 2 bones in your leg, in your lower leg. It only looked like one.
I also think it was in his thigh area.
Was it?
But it's neither here nor there.
If it's in his thigh, he's dead.
Because like femoral artery's been cut.
That's it.
Like, and you've cut your femoral artery. I don't care how many tool belts you put on it. Like, it's not going to fix
put
it.
the tool belt, and then you're just walking around with this. Which the adrenaline's going. I'm sure that people in this the space of humanity have done something like that. But it's something that you look at and you go, I would bet on that not being the case.
You dead.
Yeah.
You dead.
Yeah.
And one of
he gets his arm bit off after.
Yeah, I mean that's
and he's just there. All right, looks like I've got another tool belt. He's got tool belts out the wazoo. Like if he had a if he had a superpower, it'd be tool belts.
He's a video game character.
He's like, throwing the tool belts. How many tool belts this man got?
But also just like he's one of those characters who's like, this is a life-threatening injury, but I'm okay. I'm just gonna wrap this up. I got band-aids at the house. I'm gonna wrap this up.
You got band-aids at the house. That's right.
One of the I guess one of the issues that I had with this movie was they fell into all right, we've got alligators, we've got a flood. Okay, that's a lot to deal with now. How can we increase this? All right, the water's filling up to a great degree within the crawl space. All right, that's cool. That's cool. All right, now how can we make this even crazier? All right, Dad lost his arm, but how can we make this even crazier? The hurricane, the eye of the hurricane, it's here right now. It's on top of them. But how can we make this even crazier?
Dad drowned.
The dad's drowned. But how can we make this even crazier? The area in which like the alligators they're sleeping, they're eating, they're raving, repeating. That's in the house.
That's in the house.
That's in the house
because they got eggs at the house.
They got eggs at the house. They got alligators coming through drain pipes. Everything that could go wrong goes wrong. There's alligators in the house. There's water in the house. There's eye of the hurricanes at the house. They're just getting you to a point where you're like, I know this is meant to be putting me at a greater sense of fear and worry for the characters, but when you throw so many things at me, it stops becoming believable.
See, I was there for that. I was there for that.
They got hurricanes at the house
because I left belief as soon as man put his leg back together, like Legos.
You left it at the door. Yeah.
So after that, I was going, well, I'm just gonna have to accept that there's gonna be things that I'm looking at and I'm doing the maths. It doesn't check out, but we're still here.
But what I mean by that is it's not the I know I'd use the word believability and believable, but it's not necessarily that I don't think that they could survive this because it's a movie, but it's more so like you're throwing too many things at me.
There's too many things that are going wrong and they're surviving, so it's just like, well, they're going to survive.
Well, it's just like when you throw that many things at someone and they've survived all the other 9 to 10 things that you've thrown at them, you know they're gonna get at least to the end. One of them's getting to the end.
Well, both of them get to the end. I mean, if we're just going to jump to the end, they get to the roof, they do a flare, there's a helicopter coming, they're like, the dad's looking at Haley, oh, this is fantastic. Mans is dead. Mans has broken his leg, he's lost his arm, he's got no blood left.
He's been attacked, he's drowned, he was at one point he was passed out from blood loss or pain. He's gone through a lot. But that's the strength of family. Toretto rocked up at the end. And he was in the helicopter that saved him.
He's hanging off the side of the helicopter with his gold chain, his singlet.
And he said, like, you guys look like you need a Corona. So, but I think we need first aid first. But listen, this is family.
This is family.
Now,
dude, cheers as a Corona, dead.
You put Toretto and the Fast and Furious crew in this movie, and they're just in boats. Like, it's Fast and the Furious boats, but against alligators.
And dude's got like a souped up boat.
And like John Cena just jumps off of a boat into the like a alligator infested waters and just starts piecing them up. I mean, that's a movie for me. But you know, that might not ever happen. You know, I don't know.
I find that very unlikely. I mean, with AI, anything's possible.
And that's the beauty of AI. Now let's get into. Is there any other bits that you would like to share that you enjoyed?
I think I enjoyed this movie just because it was intense. I was on the edge of my seat. I was going, what's going to happen next? Because it was wild. It was a wild movie. It wasn't necessarily a good movie, but I enjoyed the ride.
If you were to have the DVD, you're going to put a quote on there. It'd be like, "This is mayhem," or something along those lines, right? Yeah. Because it is definitely wild. What kind of?
If they had a DVD, I'd put like, there's alligators at the house. That's what I would put at the other thing, because there were alligators at the house.
There's alligators at the house. There's alligators at the convenience store. They were just everywhere. And I do like a movie that is situated in one space. You know, it keeps you there. It keeps things tense.
I did think it was hilarious. They go out. They're out of the house, and they're going, "All right, where's my car?"
I got no idea why she thought that was the first idea. Because here's the thing. So she gets out the house, right? She then comes back around to get her dad out of the house.
Yeah.
She's outside the house now. And she's running around. She sees that it's all flooded. She saw through the crawl space. It's all flooded. And then she comes back in the house. They're like, "Oh, we've got to get to the car. That's the next thing. We just got to get to the car."
And her dad, with zero blood left in his veins, is going, "Hey, nah, maybe we need a boat." Like, he's the rational one in this situation.
Maybe we need to wade through the water.
Like, it's fight, flight, freeze, fawn, or we need a car. And she was in we need a car. He was in flight by boat or something, or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I will say one of my favorite scenes was when they are out of the house and they're going for the boat with the ATM in it. To get to there, essentially they're like, we just got to wade across this water. It's raining enough that the alligators won't be able to sense our vibrations. We're going to just walk very slowly until we get there. The eye of the hurricane like comes over them. All the rain stops. It's like the Truman Show. Like, it just the rain stops, right? And then Haley goes, or the dad goes, "Haley, you just got to swim. You're the apex predator. You got to swim here." Yeah. And she swims, and there's like 4 or 5 crocodiles chasing her. She's swimming. She does this like swan dive and then comes out of the water and gets onto the boat. And I thought that was a good scene.
Yeah.
That's some good scenes. And I love the fact that it's floodwaters. There's all this debris, but it's the cleanest water I've ever seen.
And the whole time I was thinking, she's opening her eyes in this water. Her eyes aren't red at all. No. She went through the overflow drain, bro. That's got all sorts of.
I mean, that's got fecal matter, man.
That's what I mean. You come out of that and you've just got bacteria everywhere. And heads will say that, yeah, don't worry, like Dettol will kill 99.9%. Brother, that overflow drain just had that 0.1%. That's all it had in there.
And given that not only did she have her eyes open, but she had open wounds. So like, sometimes you need that 0.1%.
I mean, they're surviving, but they're not surviving.
Yeah. That'd be hilarious. Like, the after credit scene is there just at the hospital. They're like, we can't do nothing for you.
Yeah, we've got to take off your shoulder. We've got to take off like both legs. This leg didn't get bit, but we just got to take it off as well.
Because we got Dettol, but like you got the 0.1. You got the 0.1. And it's sometimes you want to be in the 0.1%, but in this movie you don't want to be there.
No.
Let's give it
like a 4 out of 10 for me.
A 4 out of 10.
Yeah. No?
A 4 out of 10.
A 5 out of 10.
You said you like this movie. It's a 4 out of 10.
Last time I gave the thing a rating and you said it wasn't right for the other one. I'm trying to gauge my mood. I can't.
What rating system is going on in your head?
See, that's the thing. There is no rating system. It's just every movie is just, hey, this feels like a this.
Yeah, but you said you like this movie.
Yeah, so I was going to give it a 6, but then I thought, well, maybe I gave the other one too low or too high, so maybe I'll give this a 4. So my rating system is also based on other ratings from you.
From me?
I'm being peer pressured is what is my issue.
What have I done to you?
Last week you told me I gave that too high.
No, I said because we said it was a worse movie than Rogue, and I think we gave Rogue a 3.
Yeah.
So that
But
makes sense.
any other movies that I have watched are not, they're not in my vision at all.
Well, that's fine. Keep them out of your vision. You're still giving this a 4 out of 10. How come a man say I like
give
this
this
movie?
a 6.5. 6.5. Yeah.
Because it just doesn't, like, you know, there's certain social cues and niceties that just didn't click then.
If I had a paper here that said, all right, you did check this box, all right, this is the score. If I did that, then that'd be okay, because then, you know, I could do that for all the movies. But I'm just gauging this from absolute Nathan.
Yeah, but you're a man that knows numbers.
Yeah, but I was saying that I put it down a couple pegs because I thought that you're going to tell me that.
You're going to give this movie a 10, and I would have been like, you said you like this movie, that's fine.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on in my head right now. I will be honest with you.
You know, because I was going to rate this, when you said, I was going to say 6. When you said 4, I'm like, brother, that's not enough. You know, this is a serviceable film. I didn't necessarily like it. I don't want to be here next week. This is a serviceable film. You know? 4.
It's an 8 out of 10 for me.
That makes sense based on everything you said leading up to it.
Nah, this is a 6.5, 7.
Okay.
6.5 or 7.
And that makes sense.
Or it could be a 4.
I mean, you're either a 4 on one day or you're 6.7 out of 10 on the other day.
I mean, it's either 6 or 5, or you're asking me, am I for real? And I'm for real.
There's alligators at the house, and this has been the back catalogue.